I was hoping it'd be another day, another rally. Go in, get your job done, and go home.
All of a sudden, the shots ring out. Oh my God.
They didn't secure the building that was within the sight line of the President of the United States.
Just complete, utter security failure.
I got my camera around and he wasn't there. I'm like, where's Trump?
And then he did the fist pump.
We were right in the middle of all this. By late June, it was clear that Donald Trump was the Republican candidate for the presidential race. What was less clear was Joe Biden's standing. Most polls suggested that Donald Trump could beat the incumbent president.
2 weeks ago, he faced off in the first presidential debate against presumed Republican nominee Donald Trump. The president has been facing political pressure to leave the presidential race ever since because of his poor performance.
Candidates are laser focused on Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a must-win battleground state. You will not become president of the United States if you cannot carry Pennsylvania.
It's hard to see a path to the White House for either candidate that doesn't run through Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is crucial when it comes to the electoral map.
Western Pennsylvania has become an up-for-grabs area where both parties think they have a chance. In the surrounding counties that for generations were heartland Democrats.
Western Pennsylvania has a lot of people who fit his demographic that he's trying to appeal to, especially the people when it comes to Butler.
The working voter who's feeling a little bit of economic pain and is wondering who is going to fight for me.
So a really big day tomorrow. Jill Biden here. Donald Trump rally in Butler County. Lots going on. You think Pennsylvania might be a swing state?
Now, Butler is traditionally Republican, but it is representative and it is close to counties that Democrats have won. And so it's a perfect place to bring voters in from the outlying counties in order to win Western Pennsylvania.
The Showgrounds office staff here told us they believe there will be 15,000 tickets sold for the rally. Most would agree Donald Trump rallies, regardless of your political affiliation, attract a lot of people. They are big productions, stages, lights, and potentially thousands of people. We saw what appears to be an advance team for the rally, and judging from their license plates, possibly Secret Service members scoping this likely location.
I think from the campaign standpoint, this was a good location to hold a rally. It was very visible. People knew where the farm show location was, visible enough to attract lots of people from not just Pennsylvania, by the way, but from the tri-state area.
There were people that didn't like the idea of Donald Trump and his team going to the Butler Farm Show.
I said, well, wait a minute, then who visited the site? Let me tell you, from living there my whole life, you've made the wrong decision.
It was arduous to get to the actual Butler Farm Show, a 2-lane road, a ton of traffic.
We're driving on the streets, we see Trump signs everywhere. These are his people, these are the people that he's trying to appeal to, trying to make sure that they come out to vote.
Early that morning, the public wasn't allowed in on the grounds when we first got there. But police are there, they're watching your every move. And at that particular time, it was probably at least 50 to 100 police officers out there.
When it comes to a political rally, especially a presidential campaign rally, you have to be there extra early because all the gear has to get set up and they have to do the security sweep.
Security-wise, they've always kind of been the same, but this one was very loose. After decades of doing this, I think, okay, it is what it is, but I'm trusting security to keep an eye out on everything here.
The heat, the weather, it was insanely hot that day.
The heat was just unbearable.
I got sunburn on my shoulders. So it wasn't just hot, the sun was very, very strong that day.
I saw people getting treated. The medics were running around going crazy. but they were all pumped.
Everybody seemed very optimistic. Everybody was looking forward to see him.
Everybody's chanting USA. It's just very upbeat, very, loving, just very enthusiastic. And then 5 minutes later, we're in a mass shooting.
The rally had really just gotten underway. There were all these other speakers before, but he had just come to the stage. He's talking.
This is a big crowd. This is a big, big, beautiful crowd.
I'm trying to get ready to do another live hit.
And for some reason, I noticed these Secret Service guys, about two or three of them, on top of a building, and then they get down and lay down in that little stance with their guns. Still, that didn't startle me because I'm thinking, okay, well, these are Secret Service guys. These guys are getting in position or whatever, just in case something happens.
You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you?
And then all hell broke loose.
Take a look at what happened.
And I hear, pow, 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 pow.
Bang, 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 bang. Just nonstop.
Well, I think for a few seconds, I think everybody was trying to ascertain to what that noise was. Was it gunshots? Was it fireworks? Was it part of his speech or whatever?
I take a second. I'm not sure what's happening. I immediately then know what's happening and I jump off. Oh my God. We just had fired shots out here, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
So it was so surrealistic. It's like you could hear this pop, 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 and I saw the president go down, and I thought, oh my God, somebody just shot the president. Then I hear behind me in the stands somebody crying, oh my gosh, he's hurt, and I turned around, I could see people with blood on their shirts and stuff.
When I heard a second, third, I didn't stay on Trump. I whipped around to see where. Never thinking it's off the grounds. I'm thinking, is this in the grounds?
I saw him get hit, I saw him go down, and now I'm thinking, the crowd's getting shot at.
I felt my boyfriend fall first, and then he went on top of me to protect me from the bullets.
I'm looking for the cops where they're running to, but I couldn't go very far. After I was whipping around looking for stuff, I thought, oh, they got Trump out of here. He's gone. I'm going to the limo, I'm going, he's not gone.
A lot of people are still there, and they're there because Trump's still there. They wanted to see what was happening with him and what the situation was with him. At that time, I had absolutely no idea that Trump was shot.
I looked up and I saw blood, all over the podium.
I'm thinking, what the hell is this? I was actually thinking the worst. Is he up on stage? The worst situation.
Then all of a sudden, maybe seconds later, I see the Secret Service bring him up from behind the podium.
And then he did the fist pump. The crowd went nuts. When you shoot stories, you think, I need a moment. I need that one shot for each story. And that was like, holy cow. You just hear the roar. You could feel the crowd. I'm going, holy cow.
And I could see like his ear. That was blood on his ear, and they rushed him off the stage. But even at that time, a lot of us still didn't know what had happened.
It's kind of a blur, a little bit. It really felt like a dream. Did I really just hear gunshots? This is the last place on Earth I expected to be hearing gunshots, at a place where there's Secret Service.
I tell you, when you hear that, and then you see the faces of the people that were in the crowd, I think everybody was kind of like stunned.
And I am thinking in my head, how am I here today? Like, what is happening? It truly did not feel real.
I'm just running on adrenaline, trying to do my job. I did see the doctor working on the fireman, the father. I'm thinking, anyone else injured? Then about a dozen guys blew up and started yelling at the media. This is your fault, this is your fault. There was about 10 or 12 guys losing it. And I get it, they're pissed. This is their guy and he's just been injured.
All of a sudden, the Secret Service comes to us and they're like, telling the media, you need to get out of here, get out of here. I mean, this is now a crime scene.
Once I got to the scene, everything was locked down.
When I arrived there, it's a little chaotic at first. Very quickly, we established a plan of how we were going to handle this investigation, how we were going to secure the site.
I talked to 2 eyewitnesses, and they were not inside the rally. They were actually outside of the fence. They both saw Thomas Crooks on top of that AGR roof, and they both were trying the best they could to flag down law enforcement, to alert them of the threat.
I seen him physically look at us, and then I seen what I knew was a gun, a machine gun or something. I just started screaming at the cop, this guy's got a freaking gun, man. Like, he's right there, like, come on, you know? Because at that point, there was a few cops there, and we were like, come on, dude, get this guy, you know?
And what did cops do then?
They were like, where's he at?
Where's he at? And then run right by
And
us.
they did not know what to do.
It was wild.
We later saw body camera footage of law enforcement with their guns drawn, circling that rooftop, trying to get to Thomas Crooks.
This close, bro, dude, he turned around on me. Where's he at? He's straight up. I don't know. Who's got eyes on him? It was right where you picked me up, bro. He was on that left side. He's laying down. He's got an arm. Next building over. He's got glasses, long hair. He's got a book bag. He's got mad AR laying down. Yeah, he's got and he's laying down, burned out, book bag next to him.
And you saw the panic from local law enforcement trying their best in real time.
I started seeing, I seen 2 undercovers and a cop dressed in black, police on the back, come running up to the building and start running around.
Both of them radioed in that they had identified an individual on the roof and that he was in fact armed.
To me, that was stunning that people could actually see Thomas Crooks while Donald Trump was still speaking on the stage.
It's just so scary. And you hear about this stuff, and like I said, you just, you know what I mean? You brush it off until it's you. It's such a scary thing.
There was a lot of anger at the security lapses. How could this have happened?
It was an outdoor venue. These targets are so vulnerable.
It was so easy to walk up. The witnesses that I talked to, they were able to walk up, stand by that fence line. No one said a word. It was easy access.
He shouldn't have had access to the roof. Like, that's the job. That's what you do in the advance. That's why you staff that building. So that should have never happened.
I told them they need to post the guys over here. I told them that the Secret Service. I told them that Tuesday. I told them to post guys over here. I have no contact with the inside. What? No, we're inside.
No one was asked to secure or monitor that AGR building or the rooftop. And the Secret Service, they were in charge of that detail.
It's a Secret Service event. They're the lead agency at any of these campaign events. Our primary mission was to secure the inner perimeter of the rally event.
State police offered for a piece of machinery to go in between to try to obstruct that line of sight. They said no thanks. They didn't take them up on their offer.
This building had a direct line of sight to the president, and yet it wasn't secured. Was that not discussed?
I don't remember that as part of the conversation. It wasn't part of our pre-plan. And obviously I can't comment because that would be, levels higher than the sheriff to answer that question.
The sheriff's department were helping the state police to actually secure the inner perimeter. Butler Township, I know they had asked them to do some traffic control at the intersections near the event. My troopers, I couldn't be more proud of how they reacted once shots were fired. They did some pretty heroic things running toward the sniper's location, risking their own lives, running into the stands to help the injured people. And the U.S. Secret Service, their members acted just as heroically. They put themselves in the line of fire for the former president.
Were you made aware, Sheriff, of any potential threat? Was this guy on the radar?
No threats we were made aware of, and we had no idea about this guy.
Would you agree that this was a failure?
Yes.
I remember asking the FBI, so when did everyone know that there was a threat? Was it only until shots were fired? And he answered yes.
We didn't know who Thomas Crooks was until after he was shot and killed. And we had no knowledge of Thomas Crooks prior to this.
So there were a lot of questions about who is the shooter.
He was just quiet. I mean, he was just a normal kid to me, walking around the neighborhood.
He was always alone.
Everyone kind of knew him as the kid that knew everything. So everything we would always joke, say, I bet Thomas knows the answer to this question. If we don't, Thomas knows it.
I think in the neighborhood, people were like overcome by how much media was there. And they're just like, leave us alone. I'm sure they felt bad for the parents, but they were just, get out of our neighborhood, which I totally get.
Thomas Crooks.
Here's a guy who graduated from a good high school, Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. He went on to community college. He worked at a nursing home. He looked ordinary. What was Thomas Crooks doing? Who was he talking to? His motivations, were they political? We still don't know.
A life was lost. This was a tragic incident. Someone died. Someone lost a father. Someone lost a family member.
Corey died a hero. That Corey dove on his family to protect them. Corey was the very best of us.
I want people to understand that he was a man of love and not hate. And that's what we need to pursue right now.
I sat down with Corey's sister.
To even say the words that my brother was murdered it's surreal.
Her brother died, shielding his wife and 2 daughters from bullets.
He was so humble and he was so kind and he was so generous and his laugh was infectious. I think I missed that the most because he was a goofball.
And then the 2 other innocent victims caught in the crossfire, David Dutch and James Copenhaver. This family is utterly broken, devastated, and they believe that this could have been prevented if the Secret Service would have done their jobs.
Good evening. So let me describe for you a little bit about the scene that we have over there.
At that press conference, there were a lot of media there. State police have representatives, and so did the FBI Pittsburgh field office. But who wasn't there? The Secret Service.
They were looking at assignments or ready to divvy up assignments, and our police department indicated that the manpower that they had necessary was not adequate for any assignment other than the traffic assignment that they intended to do.
It seems like local police are being thrown under the bus here like it's their fault, but did they have the proper guidance, training, and information to secure that building?
Right, and that's what they make after action reports for. That's what's going to happen after all this investigation's over. And again, what I said, there's going to be finger pointing starting now until whenever, until all the facts come out.
I've assured my troopers that I am extremely proud of everything they did that day. That's not our job to decide, make those decisions of where the perimeter is. I don't think there's any issues with what the Pennsylvania State Police was asked to do, and all I did was assure my troopers that they did their job.
The Secret Service Director, Kimberly Cheadle, she resigned shortly after the shooting. Ronald Rowe took her place. The source I talked from Secret Service, he basically said, these locals, we depend on them, but they were incompetent.
We did what we were asked to do that day. That wasn't something that was within the perimeter that we were given.
In retrospect, yeah, I would have had coverage on more buildings than they had. In retrospect, hindsight is always 20/20. I don't know what the details or what the challenges they were facing. Definitely a failure. Yeah, it was. The assailant should never have been able to shoot at former President Trump. That's completely unacceptable.
Donald Trump went from this assassination attempt to the Republican convention in Milwaukee. And at that convention, of course, his ear was bandaged.
Despite such a heinous attack, we unite this evening more determined than ever.
There's been a few folks who have been floating the idea that the events in Butler will depress turnout. I disagree with that. I'm not feeling that, at least within, again, sort of the broader center-right coalition. I think Republican voters are going to be very motivated.
I was there for the next one, and basically the same setup.
He came back in October. There were police, local law enforcement, Secret Service counter snipers flooding that area.
Try to learn lessons from the past, try to make sure that there's not a repeat of anything like that and that we're well prepared.
This event and this venue is going to be safer than anything you've ever seen.
I don't think what has happened will radically change people's minds because most of us are kind of locked in.
We had great divisions going into Butler. And in fact, some of those divisions may have led to the assassination attempt. I think what we do know is that the vitriol, the hatred in the language that candidates and their supporters use has gotten worse and worse and worse.
We had a civil war in this country. Under no circumstances do we want to do that again.
If this is where politics has gotten us to, we're on the wrong path. This shouldn't happen in American politics. And all research shows that Americans are more divided today than they've been at any time in the last half century.
I've seen this world change so much in my years, and it just worries me that how extreme everything's getting.
I am just glad it didn't blow up that day. If the assassination would have succeeded, tempers would have happened, and it would have been ugly.
The negativity promotes a negative response, and everybody gets worse and worse. And if you think your only option to get out of the mess we're in is to go shoot someone, then we know that the messaging and the vitriol has failed the country.